This is Boxing Tickets, and we are delighted to be joined once again with Sugar K, Kristina O'Hara McCafferty. How are you?
I'm all good. I'm all good. How are you?
I think the last interview, I think I called you Special K, and I'm obviously Kel Brooks been messaging you. Obviously, they say what you name for. Uh, but obviously, we're 1 week out, and I know we sort of planned the other day to sort of do this, and I guess life gets in the way. So thankfully, we've
Yeah.
obviously got you 7 days out, sort of before your Queensberry debut. Obviously, it's not your professional debut as such. It's going to be your fourth professional fight, but your first for Queensberry, Frank Warren on TNT Sports. So I'm sure you probably are still in that sort of giddy stage of the fact that you're feeling like you're sort of starting to make it sort of as a pro now. You obviously be
Yeah.
fighting on TNT next week, and the sort of buzz is there, and I'm sure you just sort of can't wait to get over to London and obviously start preparing properly for your fight.
Yeah, it still sort of seems surreal, you know. And I know that's probably a bit stupid to say or whatever, but I've treated this camp like any other camp. I've give 100% and I know what I can do in the ring and I know what I'm doing outside of the ring. You know, I haven't thought too much about the fight, to be honest with you. I'm just focusing on my training and trying not to get swept up in the moment of all being Queensberry and my Queensberry debut, and I'm just trying to stay focused on the job at hand, and hopefully when I get over and I do the job and then I'm able to lap it all up and enjoy it then, you know. But for the last couple of months it's been strictly business.
I guess in some ways, obviously, it's been obviously a massive week for TNT, Queensberry, Frank Warren, obviously with the AJ and a Wallen card announced, and obviously Fury and Usyk announced. So you're probably coming in, I know we sort of said before, but you're coming into TNT Sports at probably the perfect time where
Yeah.
2024 it seems to be sort of like a rebirth. I know obviously it rebranded from BT to TNT, but you're sort of coming into that rebirth stage, and I know Frank's getting more involved with women's boxing now as well. And you're going to be obviously one of the highlights sort of from coming through. I know with Hannah Rankin obviously back in a world title fight tomorrow night, but you're coming into Frank Warren's team at the right time, probably preparing you for obviously you getting the world title fight.
Yeah, well, I mean that's always been the end goal from, you know, obviously from a turn pro. I think I've always said that what I'm going to go towards is trying to be a multi-weight world champion. And I mean, with the amount of bills that Queensberry are going to be holding next year, you know, I would like to think that I would have a title shot on one of the cards, you know. Um, I think right now, I just like this time next year, I would like to have a couple of titles under my belt. Um, but it all depends on how next week goes. Do you know, if I go out and I do I put on a good performance and I carry myself well and, you know, do all the things that I'm good at doing, and I think that I'll show them and I'll prove to know that I deserve to be on the big bills.
And
And that's what I'm hoping for maybe next year.
And it's a Christina versus Christina battle. Obviously, you're fighting a Christina Narvo. Obviously, I know I've been speaking to obviously your hubby Jared, and obviously he was telling me that the names and the records of obviously opponents that
Yeah.
obviously they given to obviously Queensberry for yourself, and like they were all really obviously good names that were obviously put there.
Mhm.
Like you'd think after 13 years, not 13 years, like if you didn't have a fight for 13 years, what you'd be doing in the ring. But after fight in 13 months, probably a wee bit surprised. And obviously the fact that you're getting in there with obviously someone that's there to test you. And obviously I haven't seen too much of Kristina Navarro, but obviously she's 3-1 as a pro, and her loss was obviously she'd also beat that opponent as well. So like, is this a statement of intent for you to show that now you've had your bedding in process, you've had 3 fights, you're now ready to go, you're now ready to make a statement and show that Frank was right to sign you?
Yeah, well, I mean, 13 months out of the ring, you know, it's massive for some people who don't stay active throughout the 13 months. You know, where I was still active the whole time. And taking this fight again is just another stepping stone. I think Jared gives some good names. He's not doing me any favors, like. But again, these are people that we need to beat. You know, I should be well able for anybody at my weight, the weight above and the weight below. shouldn't be having no problems with anybody. So I think, yeah, it is just a statement to be made, but at the same time, we know what we're capable of, and these are the fights that we'll have to take to be able to claim the letter.
In some ways, obviously, I know we're putting better opponents on the line. Probably in some ways, it probably does you more favors because it means you can't come down to someone's level. If someone's not boxing great or putting you under pressure, we're not going to see the best of you. So I think probably in some ways, Jared's obviously doing the loving, also on hating, obviously, husband sort of side of things where we really want to get you tested. We want you to obviously to put on a clinic. Not to say your 3 fights so far haven't been clinics, but you've looked levels and levels and levels above these people. So, well, obviously wants to find a good medium for you to show these people's good records, and you're still making it look like a walk in the park.
Yeah, well, it's all part of the game, isn't it? You have to sort of start as you mean to go on, and we've had 3 good performances, and I've never really been under any pressure. Where I think this will show the best of me, the best of me what I have to give right now. And yeah, I think that he knows what I'm capable of. He knows he's done this camp with me. He knows where we're at. There's been no cut corners. There's been nothing that I haven't done in this camp. So he knows where we are, and he knows where we want to go. And like I say, these are the people that we need to beat and to be able to move forward with my career. Yeah, I'm just excited now, and I'm ready to go. I'm on my way, and and that's me. I'm ready to go.
Give you your gloves and you go in the ring right now. Obviously, a massive week, obviously, for Irish female professional boxers next week. I don't think we've ever had it where we've had 3 females fighting on the same weekend. You'll obviously be starting it off in TNT on Friday night. Elaine Harrison obviously have her 2nd professional fight in Swindon on Saturday night. And obviously then you have the massive rematch in Dublin next Saturday night. Katie Taylor obviously rematching Chantelle Cameron. So what a massive weekend, and you being the leading light and starting it all off next weekend. You started off with a win, and Katie will finish it off with a win and make it a perfect weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Irish female boxing is booming at the minute, and I see that there's still so many girls turning pro and going forward, and it's going to be obviously a historic weekend for Irish boxing, and long may it continue. This is why we do it, to get the females out there more and pave the way for females coming through. It's going to be exciting, and yeah, I would have loved to have got the apple, but obviously I'm boxing on the 24th. I'm only going to get home the next day, so it would be impossible for me to get to it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'll start us off for a good win and keep the ball rolling.
And obviously, it wouldn't be fair if we didn't obviously speak on obviously Katie's rematch. Obviously, we keep speaking about this all the time, and I know it's an interview for you, and obviously not for Katie or anything else. But I know Katie's your idol and everything else like that as well. So, like in her rematch, obviously, I guess we probably didn't see the best of her the last time. Obviously, it's not discrediting Chantelle, but I guess we've probably seen that, Katie being Katie, and I know I've watched some wee clips, and she's saying she's not scared to face the best. She's fought the very best there is, and she's obviously happy to go
Done her
straight
whole
back
career,
there and obviously prove that May the 20th wasn't the proper Katie Taylor. And I guess it probably make victory for her next Saturday even sweeter to know that the adversity she's sort of had to come through, they obviously then become 2-weight undisputed. It would just be a story made for obviously for a movie.
Yeah, well, everybody always talks about the good days in boxing and all the wins and all the progress and everything else, but it's the same as going to do a day's work. You can just have off days, and that's one of them things. There could be a million things happen into the build up of that fight that just weren't ticking the boxes. Do you know what I mean? Not like physically, but mentally, and things in our life. Or these things happen, and if you have a bad day in boxing, you get in, and unfortunately, it's broadcasted in front of the whole world. But it's one of them things that happens. And I believe that Katie will come back stronger, and she'll enjoy every second of this fight. And she's never shied away from anything. So you have to credit where it's due. She's got back up her, and she's took the rematch, which is obviously another big risk to take, but she can do it. She just has to fucking stay switched on and be Katie, and she'll have no problems.
I guess it was that pressure the last time. Obviously, I know, obviously seeing her when it was initially announced, and obviously even in fight week and stuff, it was the smiles. It was a sort of an unusual
Yeah,
thing. She hadn't boxed in Ireland for quite a long time. She's had that. She had the really big long ring walk and stuff like that. She's now experienced that. She probably it'll be a 30-second song and she'll be running in the ring. You know, she
yeah.
just can't wait to get going again. She's
Takes a
experienced
lot
it.
out of you, going and sitting doing interviews all day and having cameras in your face constantly, and everybody stopping you for a conversation. And on fight week, there are things that you try your best to keep to a minimum. You know what I mean? Because it does take a lot out of you. But again, she'll know what this time round, going into it this time round. And hopefully she'll step back a wee bit from doing them sort of things. Obviously she still has to sell herself and get herself out there and do all them things. I mean, she's an icon that comes with the job, but there has to be a cut-off point.
And obviously back on yourself then, obviously, do you feel do you feel any pressure? Is it just a sort of normal day at the office? Obviously, with obviously a Queensberry debut next week, you'll obviously want to perform, and everything else to gap. Do you feel any added pressure come with that, or are you just the fact that it's just a normal day? It's as if you're sort of sparring in the gym, sort of. Is it, what sort of way do you take your mentality in that next week?
As I say, I haven't thought too much about it. I'm only there to do one job, and that's to get in the ring and fight. Everything else is up to the team. Jared does all the business end, and he tells me the plan and I execute it. There has to be a certain amount of pressure that comes with getting on the big stage, but I've been doing this my whole life. I've been boxing longer than I haven't been boxing. And I think if I start thinking about getting up and cameras and press conferences and being on this big time bill, I think a lot of it can be overwhelming, which is why I've kept myself to myself this camp, and I've really knuckled down. And like I say, I know the work that I've done, and I know the people who have helped me do the work as well. So I mean, we're ticking all the boxes, and we're ready to go. We're confident, and we're fit, and we're strong, and we're healthy, and that's the main thing.
And on your opponent, Kristina Navarro, have you obviously watched much of her, or have you sort of left that more on Jared sort of thing? She seems like I don't know, obviously I've seen obviously on Instagram and stuff like that as well. She seems to be obviously, I guess obviously not the level that you would be as a boxer and everything else like that, but she's only in as a pro just over a year. So obviously that
Mm.
an experience probably for her in the way the amount of fights you've obviously had during your career. She's not have seen someone like you obviously in the ring before with that much experience.
Like I say, I'm not. That's not my job. You know, like people get so caught up in constantly going on their opponents' pages and watching videos of them, and telling themselves, "Well, this is going to be an easy fight," or "This is going to be a hard fight," and then get caught up, and then the game plan goes out the window because they end up being surprised. You know, I don't like doing that, because I'm one of them people who convince myself of what way the fight's going to go, and if that doesn't happen, then there's a certain amount of pressure that comes with it, being able to having to adjust and adapt throughout the whole fight. I don't do that. Jared will do it. The coaches will do it. They'll watch and I'll listen. And at the end of the day, they can only tell me what they can see, and we'll take it round by round. Obviously, yes, I do have a great amateur record, and I have a good 3 wins as a pro, and this is the job. I get in and I listen to the bosses, and I take everything in my stride and one round at a time.
So Jared's the boss whenever you're fighting. Then is that the only time he's the
Yeah,
boss? Obviously, and then the
yeah,
rest of the time, so he gets. This will be
yeah.
his first time he's been the boss in 13 months.
Well, I mean, twice a day in the gym, he gets to be the boss. That's it. That's it. Then the line's through when we go home.
Is it
I'll
is
talk
it
to me like
more
that in here, George.
is it more for so obviously what you're saying you don't sort of focus too much on obviously the opponent? Is it more you focused on if you give 100%, no one's going to beat you? Is that sort of the mentality you sort of have it? If you can just worry about yourself and your own performances, everything else will take care of itself.
Well, that's it. I mean, the way I see it is, I do the work in the gym. I do the road work. I do the swimming. I do the sparring. the strength and condition and the everything that needs to be done, I do it. But I know the work that I've put in this camp, and I hope that she's done half of what I've done. And yep, Jared gets to get in and tell me what I have to do, and I'm confident. There's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to go in and put on probably, I would say, the best of myself. I have had 3 good fights, but again, they've only been small stepping stones to where I am now. And that I believe that this is the start of my career. This is the start of my professional career.
Jared's been telling me, obviously, that you've been punching probably harder than you ever have. Obviously, whether you just had one of them sort of days, but do you, obviously, that relaxation now, obviously, if you're obviously hitting harder, it means you're sort of not on your toes as much. You're sort of planting your feet and you're ready to go. Is this sort of the intent now that sort of it's not just a case of going through the motions? Now you start getting some stoppages and
Yep.
starting some of these people out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this time round I've started to do strength and conditioning with D Copeland, and it's brought my strength on, like, undoubtedly. And over the 14 months where I haven't been fighting, I think I've really adapted well to the pro style. I've started to settle down that good bit more. Even in sparring, I'm still doing things that I've never done before. This is all still learning for me. Being able to sit down on my punches and be able to throw in big heavy shots. I mean, I'm 48 kilo, but again, I've put the work in, and I know what I've done, and I'm just ready to get in the ring now and let my hands go.
And obviously you're involved with obviously D Walsh, and obviously has stable of fighters there as well. Obviously they have a great success obviously in the gym as well. Is that sort of, because I know obviously with Conor Quinn in particular, obviously he was watching everybody else obviously picking up titles. Paddy
Yeah.
picking obviously titles, Will O'Neill picking up titles. Obviously
Yeah.
Jared Hughes obviously the week after yourself obviously in the SSA against Rudy Farrell. With you obviously getting involved in training session stuff with them guys now, it's only right that you're obviously going to get that hunger for you to obviously have a belt around your waist now.
Yeah, it's great to be around other pros as well. Obviously at the minute it's always been me and Jared for the last 10 years. I've only ever known to be in the gym with me and Jared. And then Kiefer came, and everything had to change, everything had to adapt around him. And so he started nursery school there in September. So the first maybe 5 or 6 weeks was scattered hours for him. So it was like an hour here, an hour and a half that week, 2 hours that week. So at that time, I was obviously having to fit in my training where I could. And myself and Jared thought it would have been a good idea to start getting over and training with some other pros. So being in the gym with D Walsh, I've learned a lot from it too. Seeing how, like, the pros, just their different styles, what way they do sit down on their punches, and the way that they carry themselves, and sort of slow the pace down to be able to bang in big shots. And I've took on a lot from being over there. And yeah, I think it's only a matter of time now before I start getting my title shots, and I'm lapping it up.
It definitely is obviously. So this is sort of testing the waters. So now next week's a test of waters, and then titles in 2024. As I say, I don't want to sort of scary in any way, but this time next year you'd be sitting with a world title or a couple of world titles around your waist. It can just happen that easily at them weight classes.
It depends on how active Frank's going to keep me next year. I want to be as active as possible, and claim the ladder, and start getting my chances to get my titles. Obviously my first 2 years as a pro has been quite slow. But now I'm hoping that the tables have turned for me, and I'm finally getting a wee bit of luck, and I just need now to be kept active. And there's no doubt that I'll have a couple of titles this time next year.
You're seeing obviously ones that probably don't have as much experience as yourself, obviously getting opportunities, obviously just with the right sort of connections. Obviously now with this, with Frank and Queensberry and TNT, it can only obviously help you more, and not discrediting anybody that's got there. They've got their opportunity. They've won world titles, they've won European titles and everything else. But you just need that opportunity now to put you in that shop window for you to obviously start taking these belts off. You know, where you're saying you want to become a multiple weight world champion. It's you being able to then, it's all right you saying it, but it's up to them now to deliver it and to give you these opportunities so you can prove that behind the words there's actually substance to it.
Yeah, well, I think it's all going to go based off next week. You know, if I get in and I do a good performance and I show what I'm capable of and show, you know, the hard work that I've been doing in the gym, it all be put down to that one night. You know, and once they see what I can do, I have no doubt that they'll keep pushing me and they'll keep me active. Yeah, I just hope that's what happens and I'm able to go in and put on a good performance. You know, and the rest is history. I've been consistent. For 15 years I've been consistent, and I think now is my time.
Definitely, it's something that we firmly believe in. Obviously, I know that obviously I do interviews with you as much as possible and everything else, and I've obviously seen the talents in the ring. It's now just Frank and Queensberry giving you that opportunity now to show exactly what Sugar K is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is it. As I say, this is the start of my career, and I can't wait to go over now, get in the ring, and get home and start panic shopping for Christmas. And you know, obviously, I always said I do this for my family, I do this for my son, you know, and to be able to go away and fight and get my hand raised and show my son that anything is possible, you know, a wee bit of luck, a wee bit of faith, and you can do anything. You know, I want to make my son proud more than the money, more than the fame. I just want to teach my son how to be a good person, and fucking no matter what you do, if you put your heart and soul into it, you'll get it.
Definitely. Well, listen, well, obviously, thank you very much for your time as always. We know you're just a week out from obviously Fight 4. Fingers crossed, your Queensberry debut is going to be on TNT Sports, but enjoy obviously Fight Week in London, and I'm sure we'll not only just watch you, obviously getting obviously your fourth victory next week, but I'm sure we'll catch up with you very, very soon.
Yep, absolutely, Stephen. Thanks very much for having me on.
Right, cheers.
Been a pleasure as always.
Definitely.
All right. See you
Have
later.
a great weekend.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.